What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we will play as Atreus at any point in God of War Ragnarok. So I'm back. I want to thank you guys really quickly. You know, I normally do this at the end of the video, not the beginning, but you guys have been just supporting me so much in these God of War videos, and I greatly appreciate it. We're not going to stop. We're going to space them out a little bit so we don't get too tired or you guys don't get too bored of me, but we are going to continue God of War Ragnarok videos and obviously go right up until the game releases and then afterwards. I've been having a blast. I love this franchise. I love talking about it with you. And so again, I just wanted to, thank you all for the support. So last video, we talked about if Kratos should die or not, right? Not will he, not how will he, but, should he? For this one, I want to talk about, then obviously I think it kind of connects at least a little bit, right? But Atreus, how will he, kind of connect to it? Well, the question, again, like the video says, is will we play as him? So this is an interesting one, and obviously I feel like when we get our answer to this in the game, it's going to kind of define where we're going, probably in the game itself, depending on where they put it, if it's in it, and then also, obviously, where we're going in the future. I would say more than a 50-50 chance, probably like a 70-30. If we play as Atreus at any point in this God of War Ragnarok, the odds of Kratos dying in it, or just maybe him just not being playable in the future at some point, goes like skyrocketing. You know what I mean? It goes to the moon, like crypto to the moon. It's exactly like that. It's a really big possibility. And you look at it, I would almost do it the same as The Last of Us, and I really don't like, because they're very different games, and I want them to kind of remain and just be different things, but there's no doubt they're very similar they're in the same vein of that kind of father and child relationship, right? There's no doubt about it. It's hard, and it also, I guess, putting the emphasis on storytelling and kind of being grounded. Obviously, Last of Us is grounded while also being, infected in zombies, and God of War is grounded while being in this, Norse realm, you know what I mean? So it's difficult to be insanely grounded, but I still think they're relatively similar in the sense that, obviously, you played as Ellie. Now, you played as Ellie in the first Last of Us for a good section of it. But one difference, which I do think is interesting, and I wonder if they'll actually do it with Atreus, because number one, for The Last of Us, we never saw these characters before. So you go in as Joel, but you're going to play as Joel going in, but it's the first time we've seen him, and then all of a sudden they flip the script and you're playing as Ellie. For God of War, we've only ever played as one, and we said that right in the last video. That's why it maybe is so difficult to kill Kratos off, and like we said, right, does it work? Could it actually work? And I guess this is obviously almost a part two, right? Not just does killing Kratos off work, but if we play as Atreus, does that work? Does it feel the same? Do we want to? Do we even know if we want to, until they give it to us and we can kind of play it for ourselves? It's very, very difficult. And like I said, so Atreus is a little bit different than Ellie because you can't control Ellie in the game, in the first Last of Us, right? When you're playing as Joel, Ellie's your companion. She can walk in front of enemies and not be seen. Now, that was a late decision by Naughty Dog, but, they act on their own. You can't tell them to do things, whereas with, I guess, mostly. Actually, no, probably the entire thing, right? But with Atreus, his combat is almost built in to Kratos. You know what I mean? It's actually kind of interesting, and I actually really liked how they did it, where it was almost like a secondary weapon to you, even though you, especially as the game goes on, you have many different weapons and many varieties. He's almost like just an additional thing where, hey, if you need backup or you need a little bit of time or, whatever the situation may be, you can use him. Now, does that help his chances of being a playable character or lessen? Because, one thing that the trailer doesn't exactly do, you know what I mean? We don't know how much expanded or lessened that's going to be. They even played around with it so much, which I actually really did like. During that phase where he just hates your guts and he wants nothing to do with you, he doesn't listen at all. He won't listen to your commands. If you try to tell him to do something, he doesn't do it. So that's, I think, I actually really liked that. But I wonder, does that, again, continue in this game? Is there more stuff he can do to help you? Is there going to be times where he flat out doesn't help you? And again, does that stuff even translate? is mainly he's like I mean, yes, he can do physical stuff, and again, like this is years later. Like obviously he can inherent talents, or he can just kind of learn things, you know what I mean? But he also primarily, in terms of how you use him in combat, he's more of like a ranged fighter for the most part. Not, you know, but for the most part. So does that translate to you playing as him? That's the thing. That's the $1 million question, and it really is the still the same question as the last video. Like, if Kratos were to die and then you play as Atreus. Now again, that could happen in this game. They could do like The Last of Us, where this is the game, so you controlled him a little bit, like you could tell him what to do in the first game. Second game, you play as him for like an hour or two. Third game, Kratos is gone, or Kratos dies somewhere the way through, and you play as, like, we don't know, or he dies, Kratos dies at the end of this game, and that's why they let you play as Atreus for so long, you know. And by the, like, again, these are just like, I'm throwing things against the wall. I have no script. I'm just literally talking. So don't get too bent out of shape out of this. I've said in the last video, my opinion is do not kill Kratos. That's, in case I didn't make that clear enough there, I'll say it here. I don't want Kratos dead. I think, you know, I guess best of both worlds, if they really want us to play as Atreus, you could play as both. You could have sections where you play as one or the other, but I do not think it's Kratos' time. You know, it's fine if you think it is. I have nothing against that. But me, myself, personally, I think you can continue playing as him for a lot longer. At the same time, though, I do want to see what Atreus has to him, you know what I mean? And I think the way they're going with the storytelling and the way they're going with the character, and I think even you guys have said it, you know, kind of in the comments, like, it's possible things come to a head, and I think that's kind of what they're building to anyway. Very, very likely, like, that happens, and there's something that really sets Atreus off. Who knows? I mean, maybe he does betray you, he tries to kill you, he does kill you. I mean, I think no matter what, even if it has nothing to do with that, even if he's just more powerful, that's the key thing, you know what I mean? He already is more powerful, and he's going to get more powerful, which does factually, I think, open it up to playing as him and being able to play as him a little bit more. That's another thing, actually, if you think about it, with The Last of Us, is Ellie was kind of capable, but also limited in certain ways when you played as her in The Last of Us, and was Atreus kind of too young and too incapable of things in the first game to do that? Probably, but where he is right now, I'd say he's at a good range where if they were to hand it off to him, and then maybe hand it back to Kratos, or maybe never hand it back to Kratos, right? If you give the reins to Atreus in this game at any point, he's a lot more suited to do stuff. You know what I mean? Maybe he's a much better hand-to-hand combat fighter. Maybe he's got those kind of weapons. You could use his archery stuff, like all that. Like, it'll be very interesting to see. So I would honestly say, if we're betting, if we're taking bets, I think the odds of playing as him at some point in the game are actually really high. So I'll say my bold prediction is yes, we will play as him, but I think it wouldn't necessarily be the same way as The Last of Us, in the sense that, like, Kratos is, you know, he can't, he's incapacitated, right? He can't do anything. I think it may just be literally a thing. Maybe they're separated at some point, you know, in the journey, and you have to play as both of them, or, you know, whatever. But I do think you'll probably play as Atreus, and you can read into that, again, like, it's a scary thing. I'm not gonna lie and say it's not, like, scary. It's a scary thing. It's an interesting thing, but it's stuff that, like, you can't really know, because there's no way they're gonna tell us that. You know what I mean? In fact, remember, going into The Last of Us, they were asked multiple times, do you play as Ellie? And they always said no. So they don't want you guys, so, you know, I guess different studios, but same thing. They're not gonna tell us if we play as Atreus or not in this game. In fact, they'll say no. So if you do play as him, it's really for us to kind of read into that how we will. You know, does that mean Kratos will die at the end of this game? Is it a test run to replace Kratos eventually down the line, like in the third game? Is it just for fun? Is it just so you could, like, actually experience what it's like to be Atreus, and they're not going to get rid of either of them, right? I mean, really, I think there's kind of those three options that you would come to if they do that. And again, that's really something we won't know until we play the game. So let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. Let me know, as always, in the comments if you want me to talk about anything else God of War related. Can definitely do videos on what you guys specifically want to see. If you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, or subscribe to our second channel, or support us through Patreon or YouTube memberships, links are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.